are usually the ones who say, I am not a hero. Why are you shining the spotlight on me? And that's exactly what my guest and I were chatting about. But don't be nervous because we are celebrating the heroes from our communities. As a matter of fact, Nicola Harvey Mitchell, founder and director of We Say Yes, coined the term at potential youth. She said it right here on this show, referring to persons who come from at potential communities or what is deemed as at risk communities that society deems as hotspots. We are now on the show determined to shine a light in a positive way on persons from communities who, despite the challenges faced, became or are on their way to becoming success stories. Our first guest in this series is the segment that we're calling Heroes from Our Community, recently graduated with a bachelor's in criminology and criminal justice, and the president, We Say Yes Cooperative. That's your position right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Along with assistant branch lead.
There you go.
Yes.
Francis, Makesi Francis, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome, welcome. You know, interestingly, during the break, when I said, well, you are considered one of our heroes, to kick off this, you went, well, what was that? Tell me why you
Because I don't really consider myself a hero. I think Nicola Harvey is really the hero for creating such a program. And I'm just basically there to grow myself and also to help others to grow themselves like I have grown.
So where did you grow up? Let's start with you. Where exactly did you grow up?
I grew up in Laventille, after a corner after the Crescent.
Right.
So I've lived there my entire life.
So where's the Crescent? For those who...
The Crescent is right before... I don't know how to describe it. If anybody knows where Corey Street is, it's right after Corey Street, a little bit after Corey Street.
Right. And you've lived there all your life?
Yes.
All right. What was it like growing up in around the Crescent in Laventille?
Well, I can speak for my alley. It's very quiet since it usually has, the people who live there are business owners, it have a nurse, a pastor, so the alley is usually quiet. But outside the alley, I would say is more active. It may have parties, it may have people selling food. So I guess that is, it's different from what my alley is like.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said, so paint the pictures because you said your alley, meaning how do you live in your alley? Yeah.
Well, Laventille is a big place, so you have different streets, different areas. So, as I said, in my alley, it's kind of like a dead end.
Right.
So, it's not that large of a community in a type of way. Yeah. It's just this small area of people who just live together. We communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Yes, we communicate with people outside of the area, but we usually tend to stick to ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, people from outside of the communities tend to think that, you know, everyone from the community is painted in the same brush, and you hear of the violence and the crime. And so, growing up in Laventille, were you ever exposed to criminal elements?
I would say yes and no. I don't think I was ever directly exposed or harmed in any way, but I have heard of instances from, let's say, my mother or my father about people having guns or just like passing through our alley with guns, but I've never seen it myself to see. But you do, ever so often. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a common thing, hear some gunshots, but I would not be able to directly say, okay, that's from a street away or it's from another area.
So you would be studying, for example. What school did you attend?
I attended the University of the West Indies.
And before that, in
Southeast Port of Spain.
Oh, you know, Southeast did you do the sixth form program at Southeast?
No.
No, but I know that Southeast at one time had a very strong sixth form program. Yes. And before that, did you go to school in Laventille?
I attended Nelson Street Boys, and shortly after I transferred to Richmond Street Boys, because my mother just felt as though it might give me a better opportunity. So
your mother was a strong influence in your life, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that relationship with your mother and growing up. How was she able to keep you from running on the streets, as so many other boys your age might have been doing?
Well, both my parents have played a part in my life. Growing up, I was very active. I used to be outside a lot. But
doing what?
Just playing.
Okay.
Right. And I remember a day she came home and she saw me about to run up the road, like leave the alley and run up the road. And she said, you know, that was basically it. They banned me from going outside because they know the area wasn't as safe and they didn't want me venturing into other parts of Laventille. My father also enforced it. So
How did he enforce it? Licks? You got licks?
I can't remember, but I know that a day he came home and I was
Yes.
outside and I was basically scolded for it.
Yes.
So after that, I kind of spent most of my time inside.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And did you find that your peers in the community, I know you spent your time inside, but were you ever taunted for not coming out, hanging with gangs? Did you ever have to make that conscious decision that this is the route that I'm prepared to take?
I don't think I was like I don't think that played a part because, as I indicated before, in the alley that I live, it's how to put it. I wouldn't want to say upstanding citizens because
Yes.
there's upstanding citizens all over Laventille,
Yes.
but the people are just, I think, different.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the pastor a day picks me up at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was indicating that he's so happy that everyone, all the children in the alley, are such good children and they're succeeding
Mm-hmm.
because there are 7 children in the alley. His son is, I think, he's pursuing a career to go into the force. His daughter wants to become a teacher, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know another guy that I went to school with. He is also doing his degree in
Yes.
business
Yeah.
at
So,
Harriet Tech.
so
Yeah.
as you are saying that the image that persons may have that everyone from some of the areas that we hear about painted with the same brush, you're shedding light on the fact that there's so many other citizens, upstanding
Yes.
citizens, professionals living in your community.
Indeed, and I think people kind of need to move away from that kind of perception because I remember sitting in a class today and the lecturer, well, a tutor actually, indicated that was around the time it had a lot of the rioting in Beetham, and he indicated that they should just drop a bomb on Beetham.
How did that make you feel?
I honestly did not know how to feel because he indicated that he feels as though they should just be wiped out because if they kill the parents alone, the children would come up to be criminals too.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started to think about what if I had that class and it was the same thing that was happening in Laventille? Would he have made that same comment?
Mm-hmm.
How could you make a comment like that when you don't know where the people in your class are coming from? Because I'm from Laventille. I have another friend from Pinto, right? And both are areas that are seemed unfit or
Yes.
deemed at risk.
Let me ask you something. Do you think, though, that based on the images and the reports that come out of Laventille and Beetham and so on, some of the reports, that the areas are painted with an unfair brush?
It may be so because they tend to look at the negative and not shed light on the positive. Because as I said, there are a lot of positive success stories that come out of Laventille. There are lots of people doing businesses. There are lots of people getting education. There are lots of people doing good stuff, just like Miss Neil Kola Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
But they tend to not look at that. They tend to look at the areas that are deemed bad. So they will look at places like Nelson Street, Sinbabs and stuff, because those are the areas where are usually the hottest in Laventille.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about you now. So you've just graduated.
Yes.
Yeah. What made you decide to do? I think it's criminal justice, is it?
Yes,
Yeah, tell us about
criminology
your-
and criminal justice.
Right. So what made you decide to do that degree?
Well, originally I wanted to become a doctor,
Right.
but I remember finishing school and I graduated with 4 passes, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what to do with my life afterwards. So while in the program, like I developed various skill sets because it's a very structured program.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember while at home, I decided to make the decision to go and work, but my mother didn't want that to happen. She believed I wasn't ready to be out there in the world, but she ended up changing her mind because my father indicated, it's time he gets out there. So after a while, I worked in the ministry for a year. Right before I worked in the ministry, I actually had surgery on my head. Um, so it had some complications because right here, a little part of my skull actually don't have any bone, right?
Oh.
So I am vulnerable to a few things.
Right.
Because till this day, I still have a few side effects.
Right.
Right. So while working in ministry, I realized that I don't think medicine is the area I want to go into. I started to think that I kind of want to be an inspiration, inspire other youth like myself through my voice, be a motivational speaker or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I made the decision to study psychology. because I felt as though it would have helped me understand myself better.
Right.
After doing psychology, I realized it really wasn't for me.
Okay, so you did how many years in psychology?
I did a certificate at Open Campus.
Okay.
So that was the equivalent to sixth form to enter UE.
Right.
So after doing that, I decided to do criminology and criminal justice because
Yeah.
I saw it as some aspects of law and some aspects of social sciences. I think it was the best of both worlds.
So what are you going to do with it now? What's the future?
The future is, it's unclear, but my life has been so, how to put it, blessed that I think everything that I've been doing is so aligned, especially with the work I do with WCS. I have a criminology degree, and the program targets children in at-risk areas because we believe that they are all at potential youth.
Yes.
So I feel as though everything is so linked together that I want to do more work with children.
Tell me about the kind of work you do with We Say Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, right after completing the program,
Yeah.
it was a trial program at first. So after 2 years, I was asked to be the youth advisor. I don't know why Miss Nicola Avia actually asked me that. Till this day, I still ask that question, why? Maybe she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And then, of recently, she asked me to become the assistant branch lead. So it's basically to assist with
Yes.
all the operations of the program. So currently, as it stands, I help with office administration. I also assist with the social media and also assist with any operations that the program needs on Saturdays.
And the
'cause it
We Say
happens on
Yes goes out
Saturdays.
into the communities, as you said before, and work with the at potential youth. You have a number of programs
Yes.
to assist in providing alternatives.
Yes, we
for the
actually
young
go into
people.
the areas,
Yeah.
recruit them, and then once they are willing to come out, because we send transport for them,
Yeah.
we then take them to the various locations. So our main base is usually at Roytech.
Right.
Yes.
And help them education-wise as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we would teach them the basics of entrepreneurship. So those who now newly comes in would be the kidpreneurs and youthpreneurs, and then they transition into TAP 1 and TAP 2, which is tapping into their potential. And then after that, they go into CDP, which is continued
Yeah.
development, which is like myself, who is doing, well, just completed his education,
Yeah.
also may start a business, and so on.
All right. Well, Makesi, you see what I said? You see? There you go. And
Yes.
this is just a tip of the iceberg. We
Yes.
can chat all morning about the work that you're doing. And how old are you, by the way?
I am 22.
22 years
Yes.
old. I can't shake your hand, I can't hug you, but we could give you a little bit of a, we do
Yes.
this, yeah. Thank you, Makesi Francis, for joining us. You are our very first hero from the community. We will be back after this.
All right.